When you're a first artist in the family, you're like a seed that is in the soil and wants to grow.
You were always curious.
Curious,
You are curious today.
Yeah.
And you were always curious. That's the right word, the old soul.
Yeah.
I think is still your core self.
Yeah. This is me. This is real. You know, I want to be a jeweler.
Which he can't pass it on to the next generation.
So true.
I think that's where you decided you wanted to do it.
Yeah. And after 2-3 days, you come out of your studio, you're dying, but you're very happy, and you're just like, I finally made that, you know, with my hands.
Yeah.
I'm part of this artwork. I can move it.
Yeah.
And it's responding to me, you know. It's art, huh? This is me. This is me. Like.
Welcome to Chase Those Dreams. In this episode, we're exploring the incredible world of Armin Najib, a multidisciplinary artist whose work spans painting, drawing, photography, sculpture, and art jewelry. Armin's creative journey is driven by a fascination with kinetic energy, magnetic fields, and environmental sensing, often developing his own tools to bring his concepts to life. Inspired by childhood adventures sailing with his father, a merchant marine captain, Armin sees art as a realm for curiosity and exploration, inviting us to question, seek answers, or leave them open-ended. His passion for knowledge transfer has led him to mentor students who've achieved prestigious grants and admissions worldwide. Get ready to be inspired by Armin's unique approach to art. You won't want to miss this.
How have you been this year? Because I know you have been doing a lot of amazing work in 2024.
Yeah.
And you have had the busiest of schedule, but you made some time to be here and talk to us today. So first of all, thank you so much.
No, thank you for this. Yeah. You know, this is a little bit like a not my comfort zone. Yeah. You're taking me out of that. Yeah. Yeah. Being in front of a camera is a little bit hard, and I'm sitting here for you. Yeah.
And specifically sitting around your work.
Yeah.
This is, I think, another blessing. So let's jump a little bit before we talk about who you are today. Let's talk about from the beginning of how Armin was as a kid, because I know you have told me a little bit of how adventurous of a childhood you have had, because you have been sailing with your dad and you have seen the world a little bit more in detail compared to a lot of us. Yeah. So would you want to tell us about how those experiences were for you?
It was a privilege to travel with my dad. Yeah. So as a kid, it was as you said, it was a very adventurous time of my life. Like I was a kid, and I was because my dad he's a captain. He's a merchant marine seagoing master. Yeah. So and he studied in UK many years ago, and he's retired now. But he was sailing for I think, if I'm not mistaken, for 21-22 years on the ocean. Yeah, and so he was traveling all over the world, you know, going to all the countries that they have port. Yeah. So south, north, east, west, all the continents. So, and when I was a kid, so me and my mom and my sister is very younger than me, but she was also with us sometimes. So we used to travel, and when you had such experience on the sea. Yeah, because you know the ships, these vessels are huge. You know,
larger than life, right? You feel like it's
400, I don't know, long meters, and usually there is two wings on side of the ship.
Really?
That you can go and you can watch the sea and the ocean and everything, and it served another purpose for them, but for me it was like a balcony that you go and see the horizon, you know, and there is nothing. You know, there's nothing. Yeah. Just two blue connecting at some point, like a blue of the sky and blue of the ocean, go and connecting at some point. So it's amazing. It's amazing that you think that is everything and nothing.
So you had, I think, a connection with the nature very early on in your life. I think that also leads to a lot of things that happened afterwards, you know. So at that point, now, Armin's just this boy who's sailing with his dad, and, you know, adventure is all that there was. At this point, was there any connection with the things that you were seeing or wanting to do, or because you have always been, I think, as a kid also very different from the rest of the kids, where you would prefer spending time reading a book. You would
Yeah,
prefer
yeah.
getting
I
so
become a
much
nerd.
information from, these
Yeah,
things.
yeah. I had this in me that I used to read a lot of books, no matter what the book is. I started with encyclopedias, and then go to. There was a famous writer, and some people knows about him, Isaac Asimov. I think he's Russian or
Okay.
something. I don't know. He used to write about everything, whatever. Like metal, he has a book. Like water, air,
Wow.
cosmos, topics, but the book was so like 40 pages, so you can go and read it in a day, and you can understand the basic of something.
Yeah.
So I was so interested in that books. Then I moved to to encyclopedias. Then I started reading I was a teenager reading philosophy, psychological books, and psychology.
Yeah.
English is not my
Yeah.
first language, so yeah, and like a sponge, want to absorb everything,
Yes. Yeah.
and then after that I regretted, because it was too much information. Yeah, because as a kid you have to go and
Yes.
be a kid.
Yeah. But also thinking of, that information coming in you in those early days, I'm
Yeah.
definitely sure that it somehow helped you to pick up something quite earlier than later,
Yeah.
compared to.
Completely Benjamin Button.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm
That's, I
35,
think,
36, but I have a very old soul.
that's something that I think it's very rare, and I've noticed. I've known you for a few months now, and I've noticed that's the right word. The old
Yeah.
soul,
Yeah.
I think, is still your core self.
Yeah, exactly.
But in these times, again, art wasn't a first thing that you wanted to do as a kid. Like, was there this
No,
thought
it
process?
was there. It was there. I always had this in me. Like when I was a teenager, I was knowing that something itching inside. I want to draw. I want to fold. I want to make something, but I didn't know what it is. So and there was no other artist in our family. Everybody was like doing something else.
Yeah.
So when you're a first artist in the family, you're like a seed that is in the soil and wants to grow, and everybody was just like
Curious.
what's happening?
What's
What's happening? No, you have to go to the university and get your degree, become a doctor or engineer or whatever. So yeah, actually it ended up me in a university becoming a engineer, but on the paper. I'm not practicing. So I have the degree, but it helps me a lot with my work. But the thing is, I started very early. Like I was a teenager, I started it. So, and I'm a self-taught.
Yes.
I had the courage to go to masters, to find other artists, craftsmen, going to a bazaar, finding people that they're doing something with their hands, to sit and watch, to learn and to discover. And like I remember, I used to go to the places in bazaar, Grand Bazaar, that they make jewelries. And I used to sit there for many hours to look at how they make it. And those people are not very open to the stranger coming to the
watch,
shops, or to the studio and watching, But I was very curious to see what's happening, teach me something.
Yeah.
And I remember I used to spend like 8-10 hours in that places to sit and watch. And so many stories happened. Like one day I was just passing in the street, and I was just looking at. There was a door open a little. I was looking inside, and I was just seeing a man with 2 buckets going and making a huge sculpture indoor. And I was like, "What's happening here?" The guy saw me and said, "Come inside and help me." I was like, "Wow." He didn't ask me any questions like who are you? What's your name? What are you doing here? Just come and say, help me. So I went inside, helped him with the buckets, and I was with the making a paste, sandpapering stuff. He gave me some newspapers, magazines, notes. And after 2, 3, 4 hours, he asked me that, "Have you eat?" I said, "No. Let's have a dinner. Let's have a lunch together." He had something bring it from home. We had the lunch together. And after that, he asked me like, "Who are you?" I was like, "Now?"
After all of this.
I want to be a jeweler, so I said, no, I'm a sculptor, you know. And every day you can come here and help me, and I will teach you something. So these stories also happened to me because I was open to find these people.
You were always curious.
Curious,
You are curious today,
Yeah.
and you were always curious. I think that
every day.
curiosity took you to these places where normally people would think twice. Like you said, there was a gap in the door. Normally people wouldn't want to go in. They'll be like thinking of so many things, saying, what if? But your curiosity took you to such nice experiences, which has become, I think, who you are today through these stories.
Yeah.
But you chose this form of art which is so delicate. It is so much involving tools. Didn't you at any point find that this is something very difficult? Also, not talking about how time consuming each thing is.
It's crazy.
You're spending, I'm not even talking about hours, months maybe, creating something where in the world where people want to just create something within the day and sell it.
Yeah.
The patience, the curiosity, all of these things, how was it initially knowing everything is slow?
Everything is slow and small and
delicate. Small.
Yeah, intricate. Yeah.
How did you think people are going to appreciate it?
So the reason that I started to become a jeweler was I was thinking because the tools and the bench and everything it's set up is small and I can put it in my studio, in my house, in my apartment, or even in my parents' house.
Yeah.
So I was thinking, okay, I need this space, put my bench, my tools are small, so I can create something small. You know, if I want to be a painter or sculptor or filmmaker or something, I need gears, stuff, you know, I need, and I'm not living in a very and I'm very young. So I was thinking, let me make a cocoon or a cave for myself.
Yes.
So jewelry was the first approach. Jewelry was come to me hello, I'm here.
Yeah.
So you can go and sit and work.
Yeah.
So it started from that, and I was practicing. As I told you, I'm self-taught. So I was reading books and finding masters, craftsmen to teach me something, and also books. So I find a guy that he was giving lectures about contemporary jewelry in some place in Tehran. So, and back then I had me and one of my cousins and a friend, we used to have a cafe. So so it was my kind of daily job.
Yeah.
And this guy was having these workshops on the second floor in that space.
Yeah.
So one day I went upstairs to just say hello, see the space, talk to him and this kind of stuff. And I saw him, he was talking about contemporary jewelry. And I just sat there and I was listening to him for 20 minutes. And I was like, this is me. This is real. You know, I want to be a jeweler, but not the fine jewelry, gemstones and gold and this kind of stuff. I want to have something to express myself. This is small, it's a small object, jewelry, but they have a huge amount of meaning inside. There's form, there's texture, there's colors, there's vast meaning.
The whole mechanism that comes into it. Yes.
So and you can do whatever you want. You have this freedom in contemporary jewelry.
Yes.
You know? And also art jewelry. So it's not about the values that people monetary values. It's about aesthetic values. It's the real meaning of it. Yeah. So instead of me using gold that I couldn't afford back then, you know, because I'm a teenager or very young.
Yes.
Okay. So I had this freedom to use, for example, silver, wood, cotton, other metals.
Whatever is accessible to you.
Whatever, you know. And when there's a medium there that can give you this freedom.
Yes.
And you knew that it's a huge attraction. It's a magnet. Done. You're there. So I saw that after 20 minutes. And I talked to him. And I understand that he doesn't know anything. He's just a lecturer. He's reading PDFs. So I was like, this is my chance to be somebody. Because even these people who are talking about this kind of things, they're just giving information out.
If you had asked a question, I'm sure they wouldn't know.
Yeah. So, and because back then there was no somebody that I go and he can teach me as a student.
Yes.
So I started again buying books.
Yes.
Hundreds of them. You know, I have a huge library of the books in my studio back in Tehran, and I bring some of them here. So I brought them. So like 6 or 7 of them is with me, but the rest, and they're like the contemporary or art jewelry books are kind of rare because nobody's reading them. You know, it's not a journal that you. So
it's
like
smaller than a niche, I think. It's
very limited books that you can only find second-hand, third-hand somewhere in Europe. You order, they bring it to you, and it's like there's notes inside, and I love that. Yeah, so I have so many of them. I read them all. You know, I summarize them, notes inside. You know, one day we will go to Iran. I will show you that. And that was, and when you're young, you have this energy. You know, you can work 24 hours a day. You know.
You
and
still
it used
do.
to be like that.
You still do.
I still do that, but it hurts like back. Everything is hurting now. Yeah, but back then it is. I remember like I'm an artist, so when you're working, you know, you have no audience. You know, nobody's watching you. You're staying in your room, in your studio for three days sometimes, 2 days, 3 days, not sleeping, not eating, just drinking some water, focusing. To become a master of something, you know, to make something, you know, and after 2-3 days you come out of your studio, you're dying, but you're very happy, and you're just like, I finally made that, you know, with my hands, no machines, you know, and there's nobody to clap, you know, nobody. You're just yourself here. Thank me for doing that. So as an artist, like, it's a difference between artists and designers and all the other things, because it's when you're an artist, you're not doing it for people. You're doing it for yourself first. You know, you're your first audience, viewer, customer, whatever, and then the piece is there, done, finished. And if somebody wants it, they come and buy it or go to people's collection.
You remember your first piece of what you created?
Yeah, of course, I still have it. Yeah, it was in brass. I saw something with the saw frame and cutting a metal sheet. I made a ring, and it was even I'm a ring maker. I make rings. I love it. They're independent. They're so independent. So they can be a piece individually, like they're a piece independent completely. You can put it somewhere, and if you want to wear it, you wear it. You know. Yeah. But variability is not a something that that you think about it as this ring should be variable. No. It can be, it has the potential, but it's a piece, completely independent sometimes. But I made a ring, and the other one is the second one also, I still have it. Yeah, it's a ring also. Yeah, not practical. You cannot wear it. It's a chunky, big one, you know. Yeah. And I started with rings, and I'm still doing rings. So, and when you're a jeweler, you have to be able to even filing 0.2, 0.3, 0.01, you know, these numbers in millimeter is very important. And your eyes and your hands and your body is adapted to that.
Because it can't mismatch anything. Everything has to be done first time properly.
Exactly. Yeah. You make a mistake, you destroy it.
That's it. Yeah.
You melt it or destroy it, or there is no undo. It took me 8 years to become master in that. Yeah, I was practicing for 8 years. You know, first 3 years was very difficult because I used to work like minimum 12 hours in my studio, and then it was me and my bench. It was we become one. You know, like a pianist who play piano. Yeah. You know, they spent like 4 or 5 years behind the piano working, and just trying to know the language of the piano. Yeah. When you know when the conversations start to happening, you become one. You become one piece. You know? Yeah. So like sometimes like people like, oh, this sculpture is your child, or this kind of stuff. So no, this is not my child. This is not my children. This is me. You know. So my hand is me. You know. This is my first tool, and it's me. Yeah. Like this sculpture is me. The works that I make is me. The work that I've never made is me. The ones that I destroyed is also me. Yeah. Everything that's related to my work, to my bench, to my tools, to my techniques, materials, whatever is that in my studio, is me, because I decided to use them, to put them in my studio, to work on them, to sometimes manipulate them. Yeah. Also,
I think, I've noticed one thing throughout this journey of yours, the first half. you figured that, you wanted to do more for the community. I'm saying this why? Because, you said you had gone to this place where you saw this person talking about contemporary art, and you
Yeah.
figured that this person doesn't really know anything,
Yeah, exactly.
which he can't pass it on to the next generation.
So true.
I think that's where you decided you wanted to do it.
Yeah.
And that's when your next phase came in, wherein you started speaking to your students,
Yeah.
creating this.
That's the duty of an artist.
So how did that evolve to you now making sure that you passed this on to another generation?
Yeah. I was suffering because nobody was there to teach me properly everything.
Yeah.
It took me so much time,
Yeah.
So I was thinking, if I'm suffering, if I'm searching, if I'm dedicating my time, like 100% of my time to just search for something, and now I know it, it's my duty to pass it on, to be a reflector, you know? If I had this privilege to light this torch, and I have this torch in my hand, I need to give it to you. You give it to another person. She or he give it to another one.
Yeah.
So all this place, we have more light, so we can see each other more. We can talk more. This is knowledge, So as an artist, we had this conversation in your car, in your Jeep, your iconic Jeep there. So we had this conversation in your Jeep. So in the morning, like being an artist is not just you make something, create something. You just paint and give it to the society, put it on the wall. Making a sculpture, put it here. Show it to the people and go home. Rest. No, it's like you experiment. You document your experiment. How you treat people, how you act in a society, how to activate your society. How you become somebody that's exploring, going to the sky, looking at the sky, and find something new, bring it down. Write about it. Document it, send it to others. They have also ability and there's access to this kind of information. So, like the books that we read, where did they come from? Somebody was sitting there.
Putting all that information in.
Putting all the information in. And had this, and it needs courage. It needs dedication for that. And I dedicated that time. And I had beautiful students and interns in my studio. Many. And not so many of them are in a most respected universities around the world, and I'm proud of them, and they were so proud of me, and we still have these conversations, we talk. I send some PDFs to them, I send some document, a new thing coming to the world, and even if it's a new tool, if it's a new technique, and I found about it, if still they're jewelers or sculptors or painters, whatever, and they ask me, I'm like, this is the new update, have it. And I see myself as somebody is in the front line, So I'm I'm with my swords and everything. So this, if you're an artist, this is your job. This is your duty.
Responsibility towards.
This is your responsibility, as you said. You're responsible for your society. If I make a music and it's bad and it's bothering it's not soothing your ear, it's bothering you, make you nervous, make you something that. You go and in a traffic, you go in a society, and you're living and you're treating people bad. You become something bad. I make you less small. Because my art is not good. So I don't want to be that. And I also want people to engage in my work. So my works are interactive, are kinetic. So just somebody's coming from outside of this door, coming inside the gallery, or coming to me to my studio. Even if it's my rings, they see themselves also in it. I'm part of this artwork. I can move it. And it's responding to me, So the artwork. It's not just sitting there as a decor, as something that is beautifully made, and it's there, have a beautiful statement, or the form is nice, the craft is nice. No, there's also another layer. And sometimes I call it another dimension, is a dimension of precious, because as a jeweler, it's your job is to you have this kind of I don't know how can I define it, the preciousness or precious. But when you're a jeweler, as a part of your job, you have a heightened sense of precious. And when scale up
Yes.
or turn to other mediums like sculptures, paintings, whatever.
Yeah.
You want to also contribute that.
So you take that with you and
and you put
convert.
it there, another
Yes.
dimension.
Yeah.
Usually it's neglected to other
Yeah.
works, but I try to add it. So coming from jewelry, small scale, with so much detail, very intricate, delicate,
Yeah.
like also a little bit fragile thing, and scaling up to the sculptures. Now this is my biggest sculpture here,
Yeah.
and I made that as a jeweler, not as a sculptor.
Yeah.
So every millimeter, every half a millimeter even, there's a detail inside with the
Yeah.
magnets and
Yeah.
the riveting and everything
Yeah.
with the hand. And I'm also enjoying the labor. So it's yeah. So back to our conversation, back to that point I want people and my audience to be part of my work, and also I see myself as a responsible person to teach something, giving back.
Yeah.
Giving back to society. This is how we move forward. This is how we become better persons.
Yes.
Yeah. Otherwise, we are just followers.
So I think it would be a very good opportunity now to talk about, like you mentioned, you have different sizes of art that you create from.
Yeah.
This being your biggest, you said, right? And then you have the smallest of things. So how do you feel working on all of these different sizes? And does things change based on sizes, the effort that goes into it, the time goes into it?
The change is actually very interesting because, like, big sculpture is not an inflated small sculpture.
Yeah.
It's not that.
Yeah.
So everything about the big sculpture comparing to the little ones are different. Everything, So in my case, the way I see myself from out, like if it's me working, walking, doing something, and I see myself from here, like there's a camera, or me myself, so I'm looking at myself. When I'm working on big size, when I scale up, I work on the form, I work on the base, I work on it, I see it, I go into the details, go to the millimeter, do something, coming back, zoom out, panning out, zoom out, again looking at the whole picture, and see, okay, it's working, it's nice, I love it, this needs to be more damage, or we need to hammering more, we need to drill more, or work something on this part. Again, that leads me to go more into the details, then coming back, zooming out, zooming in, zooming out. It happens hundreds of times.
And
So
knowing you, how detailed you are, I recently saw one of the PDFs you created, and the amount of detailing it had, there could not be a mistake for a viewer in anything, because you have pointed out everything that possibly could be there.
I was also talking to Shilan, my gallerist. I was telling her, like, anything that leaves my studio, going out to people, collector, buyer, viewer, going to be exhibited somewhere, either is a image, is a picture, is a PDF, is a sculpture, whatever it is, it should be perfect. It should be well executed. Everything should be perfect. Because I don't know why. No, there's no because. It should be. It must be perfect. Otherwise, it's not because it's though there's a balance. Like, I have this triangle that I'm always mentioning, and I'm very serious about it. Like, there is we have dialogue. I invented something like Trilogy. Trilogy. I call it Trilogy.
Okay.
So it's you, the material that you're working with, and also the technique that you're choosing, or something like that. And always these three corners are talking to each other. It's like a dialogue. So when I'm working with some material, I let him also talk to me. I be open to that. So, for example, I don't make, if I want to make something like a muscle or something, like a figure, like a portrait, I'm not going to use wood. So you're forcing the wood to become something like that. Use clay. So let the material talk to you. Okay, and also you learn the language. How much can I put pressure on? Can I hammer it? When I'm hammering something like a metal, I usually work with metal. When you hammer it, you're hearing the rhythm. And if the rhythm is nice, You know, if you hammer in a rhythm and you learn the language, learn the words of it, like how I'm hammering, looking at the pattern, and you find the rhythm and you find the language with that, okay, you win the game. Because after that, the pattern with the hammering pattern, the thing that is happening on the metal, it will be very nice. And if you, as a kid, and you have no knowledge of, like, for example, hammering, you know, come and see this and look at this pattern that is made by hammer, and you look at it and say, it's beautiful. Why? Because there's a rhythm in it. You can hear the rhythm, even in your head. That's the beauty of technique. That's the beauty of this conversation that you have with your material, and also with your tools. Like, as I mentioned, this is my first tool.
Yes.
Okay, and you have your saw, you have your sandpapers, you have your whatever can be your tool. Okay, with the tool also, you need to listen to it. You need to work with it. You need to become one. You know, and after that, after you reach some certain level of mastery, and this triangle happen, this trilogy happen, you have the object in the middle. You know, you're at the top. You're the one as an artist, designer, the idea, the concept. The material is here, and the technique is here also. Okay. This happens, and in the middle you have the object. Sometimes this goes more towards the idea, becomes something very like new, become like a new concept that is happening. Maybe it's intentionally. Maybe you're an artist. You want to like you have a criticism. As you have a statement as a political statement. Sometimes you have a socialist statement that you want to go loud and bold and this kind of stuff because you're an artist. You want to talk. How you talk? You talk with your objects, your work, your medium. So it goes more to the idea, and you don't pay that much attention to your material and your technique and this kind of stuff. Sometimes it goes more to your material and become, like, for example, if you're a jeweler, if it goes more to the material and become more values in that, become gold and diamonds and this kind of stuff. So there's less idea, less technique, and more like values that you have in material. And sometimes more into technique. So you become a technician. Something's beautifully made, but there is no soul in it. There is no. I always try to have a balance. Like these three work simultaneously with each other in a loop.
And create the everything that is in between.
Exactly. And the thing is, you learn from you, and also you learn from your technique and material all together. So you're constantly learning, executing, working, coming back to the first again. Like, it's a
because you were mentioning technique, I was so wanting to, because you have this very particular style and way of doing things. And also I've seen, I think 1% of your tools that you have, that you use, those tools are, I want to say, iconic, because I haven't seen these kind of so much history in the tools. And I remember you saying this is just bits of those things that you own back home. So, you know, the technique, the kind of tools that you use is very, very specific and very, very original to you. I think based on all the knowledge you have gathered, you have created this kind of a technique for yourself. I think it'll be very interesting to understand how much importance do you give to this bit to create everything that you do, because like you touched a little bit about how every nook and corner has so much thought process that goes into it. Because for example, in this room, I know firsthand that before every piece was kept, you were particular about how the light was hitting it, what kind of music had to be, what kind of angles. So this is something very rare, because you know people, once they give their art out, they're like, now
my job is finished,
done. But you have spent days putting every piece in the right place with the right of everything possibly available to you. So how is this become you, as you know?
I have it's the way that you said, it's interesting, because like, see, we have different medias and mediums. Like cinema. Cinema is huge. The impact is huge. The movie's out, you know, everybody's watching it. If there's a story in it, if there's a message hidden in the movie, everybody get engaged with it. Like, wow, that movie is talking about this and that and this kind of stuff. Why? Because the cinema has this power.
Yes.
Okay, it's very powerful.
Yes.
Then it's music, then it's like sculptures, paintings, and this kind of
Yes.
stuff. So when it comes to sculpting and sculptures and paintings, they have this much impact comparing to like something like a cinema, something like a music, you know, that can go rapidly and everybody's listening to that, this kind of stuff.
Yes.
So what I try to do is to take this much and go here, you know, add music to it. So I collaborate with the musician. You know, I ask my friend, can you do it for me? Can you come, let's sit, let's talk. Maybe I inspired you, maybe my work inspires you, you know, you come up with the music for me. And Serena, she was working for 2 months. You know, I was there witnessing her magic in her studio, you know, playing with piano, bring the notes and everything to the computer, again coming back, you know, sketching the music and this and after 1-2 months she comes up with the 30 minutes loop. The music is on loop, and it's a beautifully matched with the space and my sculptures, and also collaborated with Sohail. He's into literature, he's a poet, so he wrote something for me and for the exhibition, and we put it in a catalog so it would be there forever. You know, so I try to be more, you know, to engage people. Like, you have 5 senses. You come to my show, you come to my exhibition, you come to my studio, there is a little bit of a smell of something, the music is on, you know, the colors, the way that everything is, the setup, the light, the shadows. So it's an experiment. You come inside, boom, something is happening. There's not
full
just
experience.
Yeah, full experience. You have to.
I would want to refer your tools as your babies. I don't know if that is something that because you preserve it with so much, you know. So is this something that has carried on with you throughout your time as an artist, the tools that you use and you add on to it, or is this tool specifically given to you by something or somebody, or
so many of them.
So,
there's a story.
You know, because there's so much story in those, because when I saw those tools, I felt there was, because the way you take care of them is because it was very, very special to you, given to you by somebody, or you use it in a way that, you know, you don't wear it off so that you can't use it tomorrow. You know, so do you want to talk about the love you have for the
There's
tools?
a story behind that. Like, 2 stories actually. You saw some of my tools. There's some of them has the label of like West Germany.
Yes, like the dates are going back to God knows where.
Like the West Germany, you see West Germany on a tool, and the tool is kind of new. You know, I'm using it very like with caution. So so first of all, I have this passion to find these tools. You know, I go to the old stores or somebody, and people kind of know me. You know, when I go to bazaar in Tehran or other countries or where, I go and find these old people that they have these rustic, dirty shops and stores that they stored so many. They're like a museum, you know? And I go there, and I'm not just searching for something like they have in the front. I'm like, do you have anything in the back that maybe
a lot of dust is covered in it.
years is there, you know? And they're like, maybe who are you? And I'm telling them my story. You know, I start the conversation. Who am I? What I'm doing this? You know, I'm an artist. I did that. They look at my works and this kind of stuff. And the moment that they trust you, they open the doors. They're like, look at this drawer. This has been here, sitting here for 40 years, 30 years. You know. Are you interested in this? You know, and usually they give it to me like a gift, or so many times happened that they gifted me. So, and like even one time the guy was telling me that my father was keeping this here in this drawer. Like there was a bearings that I was searching for 30 years, God knows, you know. So this is you now, because I think with you it comes to its house, to it's serving its purpose. You know, it needs to be in your hand. So it's the whoa, how it's happening, you know. And also many years ago, I was very young, and I got a phone call one day from one of my friends that some of his relative he passed away. So he told me, like, he was a jeweler and a sculptor, and the only sculptor jeweler that we know is you, and an artist, that you maybe can come here to his studio because we need to evacuate the place, and there is so much stuff happening here and hazards that we don't know how to deal with this stuff. You know, and would you please come and help us? And I said, yeah, of course. So I went to the space, I opened the door. The moment that I opened the door, 3 seconds after that, I started crying. I was crying, I was like, what is this place? It's beautiful, It was messy. It was messy. Collages on the wall, paintings on the wall, ropes, text on the wall written. All the floor was full, The rooms were full of tools and stuff.
But it's your kind of
machines.
treasure you found.
Yeah, it was treasure. Like I was like, who was the artist? He was an artist and collector. So he was collecting like rarest stones and like minerals and some very something that you have to dig the ground to find it in a mines or something like that. 200, 300, 400 beautiful stones, beautiful. Put it in order, like in the boxes, and so many books, so many magazines, everything. Though it was chaotic, but there was also order in it.
Yeah.
So there was like A, B, C, D, but it was like a war, like something happened. And I spent 3 days, 4 days there, looking at the tools, collecting the tools, separating the artworks and textbooks and everything. So for the family to know how to deal with it.
Yeah.
And I learned a lot. Like it was a pivotal point for me. I become mature in 3 days. Right? I become somebody. I learned a lot. Yeah. He was for me, I usually don't go to graveyards and I don't talk to dead people. I don't believe in this stuff, but he was one of the only one.
You would want to know what.
Yeah, I went to another city to his graveyard and talked to him with his family. Yeah, I bring a pack of cigarettes for him. I talk to him like you was the true and real maestro, and I have so much respect for you. And what happened after that is that I asked the family to give me some of his tools and stuff. And they love me, so they give it to me. And so many tools that you are seeing now in my studios belong to him. Like half of it is belong to him. And what happens after that? It was. I get phone calls from his students that they were all hating me. They were like, the stranger come to this studio, took all the 30, 40, 50 years of his life, and nobody knows who's that guy. So haters all over.
Yeah.
So I called them to invite them to my studio, and I put all the stuff in the middle, all the books and tools and stuff.
Yeah.
Said, he was, for me, he is here, and I'm so respectful, and I have so much respect for him and everything. But these things are not belong to me.
Yeah.
This belongs to you as he's a student.
Yeah.
If you want to take anything, a sketch, a book, a note, whatever that you have feelings with, and
memories,
you have connection with that, it's yours.
Yeah.
And I'm here for good, not for because I didn't know even you existed.
Yeah.
So they came to my studio. Some of them would not even handshake me, like coming to my studio, looking at me like, "Hey, we're gonna kill you." Yeah. And after 2-3 hours, we become friends. And and one of them said something to me that is still, I remember that. She told me like, if he was alive, you were the only one that he would be proud of, because he was never like fully proud of something that we are doing. He would be really proud of you because the thing that you're doing is really different. It's something, and he would be interested in your work. He would give you like A.
That's amazing.
And that is like, I still have his books and stuff. Like,
those are the things for an creative or an artist is the real treasure.
It's a real treasure.
When you are valued and you are said that this is, you are special. That's it. That proves that you have done something right.
It's amazing. It's amazing. How many... You don't know when gonna be the next time you feel something real.
Yeah.
Like you're working,
especially in the current world, it's very
living
difficult.
your life. Sometimes in your life something happened, and boom.
Yeah.
And he was for me like.
We always feel that we may be doing something amazing until we find somebody who has done this for decades and suddenly you're like, wow, that brings you back to ground, saying you need to do better things and much more to, feel whatever you feel. It's beautiful.
And it grounded you. You feel like, wow, I'm nothing. I'm nobody. You
Yeah.
know, I have to work more. I have to explore more. Like I have to experiment more. I have to start working. I have to go back to my studio and work. You know, it's like a V8 engine diesel. Let's go and and it's. So it's grounded you. You start again, you start again, you start again. And this is how I see myself as an artist, you know. And I believe every real artist in the world has this, you know. You're listening to them on whatever, on your phone, on YouTube, and reading their books. You feel, wow, man. How small I am comparing to him. You know? He's doing a lot. He's not living 24 hours a day, 48, 72, you know.
For talking about that 24, 48 hours of work that goes into, you feel like, that's pretty much you, as far as I know, because you are putting in these hours and hours and hours of work, and especially now because the season is pretty much open. The next few months are going to be crazy, and you are in the middle of most of the things, like, So what is there for Armin to come as a person, as an artist, as a responsibility towards that, everything that you do? Is it going to get bigger from here? Is it going to be getting more detailed from here? Or what does the next few months or years hold for you as an artist? What are your expectations out of yourself? Like,
you keep asking. Your question is getting harder and harder. Like it's like I'm like yeah. So to be completely honest and frank, I don't know. Like I have no, like usually I have a map, roadmap, something, but usually I don't know what I'm doing because I come with no planning, like minimum pre-planning, you know. You just set some stones, like tick ta. You want to go forward, and you have to just trust the process, huh? You go to your studio, you go to your places, you go to your people, you start the conversation, you go to your studio, start doing a job, you know, and sometimes something clicks and you go like, and then if you feel good about it and you think that also it's serving the purpose, it's serving you, and also, and it's the right time to do something, and you just keep doing that, you know. Not that I'm completely lost. No, that's not true. Yeah, I have a roadmap. Yeah, I want to do this. Now I want to make a huge sculpture in the city. Like I have this dream. You know, I see one of my cubes in a city, like a public art or something. But can I do it now? I have it here. You know, I did a sketch. You know, I'm ready for that.
Yes.
But can I make it? No. You know, so it's there, but the exact map to go there, like exact 1, 2, 3, I don't have it now.
Yeah.
So there's so many stuff happening, you know, and I'm not limiting myself, you know.
Yes.
Like I was telling one of my friends a few days ago, like if you give me this pen, only this pen, nothing else, just a paper, I draw.
Yeah.
If you give me like my wax and files and sandpapers, I make jewelries. You know, if you give me these metal sheets and give me this space and access to some materials and tools, I make sculptures. You know, I'm not limiting myself.
Yes.
You know? The next day, if I have a privilege to do something big in the city, I'm gonna do that. You know, next day, you give me a ticket, go to Mars, I will. You know, so I'm not limiting myself. You know, so one day I'm doing collages, the next day I'm doing some paintings, and then I'm coming back to my sculptures and my jewelries. Yeah, so it's a.
And also one thing I've noticed is feels like you are moving into. You are ready to move into a little bit of unknown spaces, I think. After a very long time, you seem to have taken this little bit of movement towards this places that you would want to go to because of the fear of like, what if, where do I fit in there? But seems like you're trying to move into these directions, which only feels like I think there is some new doors going to open, which you are also going to be amazed about. It feels pretty much like that, because there's so much movement that has happened, and the good
Yeah.
and the right moves, and you have, I think, also have created some things that you also were not wanting to give the time for previously, but now you seem like you want to give more time towards making something which is, you know,
Yeah,
which is
I'm like I was I'm not lazy.
Yes.
And I wasn't never ever be like procrastinating, like, oh, what should I do? And I moved to Dubai a few
Yes.
years ago, like 2, 3 years ago, and Dubai is fast. You
Yeah.
know, it suits me very well. You
Yeah.
know, Dubai is fast. Sometimes it's really like, oof, I need a rest a little bit. Like, what's happening here? You know, and every day you're in your studio, boo, and Dubai is fast. So also it suits me. Like I'm like in my spot. You know, so every day I go to my studio. If I work for, I don't know, if I stay there for 18 hours, I feels good, you know? And not that I don't do procrastination, like I do that also, sometimes
Yes.
I'm lazy, you know, I'm just
Yeah.
like, but also in that time I'm thinking, because when I'm working, I'm not thinking, you know?
Yeah.
I keep the thinking part, like that for like, let's sit and think, you know? Because when you're working, when you're engaging with material and technique, so you're not thinking, you're just doing.
Yeah. Yeah.
So it's, but here is, yeah, it's bringing order to chaos.
Yeah. And as far as I feel, I think there is so many things coming your way in
Yeah,
fast lane.
yeah,
And I think it only now depends on how much you want to like take in. I think that's going to be very, very interesting to see. And I think we are all going to be here to see what Armin's going to be doing next from the next chapter, I think I want to call it. So I think it would be right for me to say thank you so much
Oh no, thank you.
for actually making this time, because I know how difficult it is for you to be sitting here and actually talking in front of camera, because you can sit and talk to people for hours otherwise, but camera I think is something that you
You know me,
always
I'm a
regret.
little bit nervous in front of the camera.
So it
but this
means a
was really-
lot to me that you are here, you shared your journey, and I know this is only a bit of your journey. There is so much, but then I think these are the right things that we wanted to,
But
you
one
know.
thing you told me, and it convinced me to do that, really, and I was like, let's do it. It was like, you told me that whatever you do is you see it as one day it's gonna be like a, if I'm doing this, it's gonna be a TV show. It's gonna be perfectly made. It's gonna be something in future. So you see it this way. I also see it this way. I call it perfection, you know?
Yeah.
Not be crazy perfectionist. No, it's a perfection. So when you see it that way, so I'm like, oh, this guy is also,
So I
in
think
pursuit of something very.
we had a very good combination
exactly,
today that, you know, it
exactly.
worked
So,
in our
yeah,
ways.
So
So thank you so much for your time, Armin. And I would like to also thank you for letting me shoot here, and also the gallery for letting me shoot in this space.
Thanks to Aisha.
It was, yes, definitely. She was kind enough to let this happen. So thank you so much, Armin. And I'm just going to hope the best from here for you.
Yeah.
And I'm going to be here to see what's happening.
You're gonna drop me to my
next.
studio,
Yes.
yeah? I'm not gonna take a cab. You call the cab.
Thank you.